What's happening, Hardscapers? This is episode 300 of the How to Hardscape podcast, where we talk about how you can start and grow your hardscaping business. And on today's episode, I just went live on Instagram, talked about the evolution of how to hardscape, and I am a hardscaper, as well as answered some questions that came in. I do want to say a big thank you to everyone that tunes into the How to Hardscape podcast each and every week. For 300 episodes, I really do appreciate it. For everyone that has liked, commented, shared, subscribed, followed, left a rating, review, whatever you have, and engaged with us, I really do appreciate everything. We've got many more episodes to come with the How to Hardscape podcast this year and beyond. But before we get into today's podcast, we want to thank our sponsors. Cycle CPA. If you're looking for bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services, reach out to Cycle CPA at cyclecpa.com. Let them know How to Hardscape sent you for money off their services there. And we want to thank Moser. I'm sure you know precision is key in estimating and design, and the Moser 2 Pro is making that easier than ever. This advanced measuring device captures dimensions, elevations, and calculates areas instantly, exporting the data directly into my design software for accurate project mapping. This eliminates manual notes and improves accuracy, saving time and enhancing workflow. If you're looking to upgrade your measuring process, visit Moser.com and use promo code X8Hardscape. That's X, the number 8 Hardscape, or check the link in the show notes. And Knowledge Tree Consulting. George and Peter there are efficiency consultants in our industry, and I've had the privilege of having them both on one episode of the How to Hardscape podcast, and George multiple other times. Always great episodes, and I also got to sit down on a one-on-one with George and went through what they do for businesses, and I left that meeting with a lot of value, so I can't recommend them enough. If you want to learn more about what they do, go to knowledgetreeconsulting.com and get that conversation started with them today. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode 300. Welcome, everyone, to the How to Hardscape podcast 300th episode. I appreciate everybody that's listened to all 300 episodes, that have listened to any sort of episode from our start back in 2019. This is coming up on 6 years, I believe, of How to Hardscape podcast. We started it back in October 2019. So I just wanted to talk about How to Hardscape, where it all started and where it is continuing to go. But thank you to anybody that has listened to the How to Hardscape podcast, that continues to listen to the How to Hardscape podcast, that interacts in any way. We started in 2019. Very first thing that I did was create a website and then create a bunch of articles for hardscape topics. And with that, we had a lot of traction start to come to the website. So after the website in July 2019, we started the Instagram page. And the whole purpose of the How to Hardscape Instagram page was to repost other contractors' beautiful work, to create a sort of community around at How to Hardscape. So that's what my goal was with the Instagram page. And then all that traction that we had with the website, the Instagram, I decided to start the podcast. That was something that I wanted to do, but it was a busy season. And then come October, I had a little bit of time to get some interviews in. Some of the very earliest episodes were with Jeff Cunningham of Alliance, talking about GatorBase, because that's something that I used in my business quite a bit back then. And I also had Paver Pete on, and we had Unilock Ray Rodenberg on. So those were the very early episodes. And then we started to bring on hardscape business owners. And since then, we've had consultants, contractors, accountants, lots of different people on the podcast. The whole goal of the podcast was to get information out there for hardscape business owners into their ears, and for them to be able to consume it on a job site, driving to the job site, to help in that way. And then the website was always built to help that, to help in a more visual sense. Then we do have a question here. AR Landscaping Edmonton. Hey buddy, how's your season? I'm starting Monday. 90 get long 14-foot wall, custom bench in wall on one side. Nice work. Season has been going good. I've been doing quotes all weekend. And yeah, we've got some work lined up, and we've had a few driveways come in from last year that we had scheduled for early this year. And those clients want to do it later in the season. So we've pushed those to do late in the season and went heavy on the consults. If you're listening to this on Instagram, you can go to our Instagram stories, click the Zoom link, and join me here on this 300th episode for How to Hardscape if you want to. But yeah, my season, it's been heavy on consults and now getting out a bunch of estimates, and we're ready to get rolling. Probably not next week. It's probably a bit too early for me with everything that I've got on my plate right now, but the week after, I think we will start with those. So thank you for asking there, AR Landscaping Edmonton. We went heavy into consults, did a little bit of paid ads, and now we're just rolling along now right now with consults. But with How to Hardscape, I got to a point where we wanted to get a YouTube channel going with this visual content, and I started I Am a Hardscaper. So I Am a Hardscaper is more so myself, my own business, and a lot of hardscape tutorials visually there as well. So that has grown now to, I think we're at about 28,000 subscribers, which is great. That has really, I was at a point where I could have either doubled down on Instagram and started, I do have an I Am a Hardscaper Instagram page, but I don't post a lot. Or I had the time to start a YouTube page. And I went with YouTube just because YouTube is the second largest search engine behind Google. I knew that would be good with the way that I am fairly fluent with SEO in the How to Hardscape website, that I could just transfer that into video format and just optimize for the search engine that is YouTube. So I did that. And now I've got videos that continue that I started with back in July 2022, I want to say, that are still getting lots of views each and every day. So that's the benefit to starting a YouTube channel as opposed to going in on Instagram, because Instagram's very short life cycle. Whereas YouTube, you make a video. If it's a good video, it's just going to get traction and continue to get views long after you've posted it. So that's why I wanted to do YouTube as opposed to Instagram with that. And that has been really good, as well as I can repurpose those videos into my actual proposals for clients. And very recently, we created a welcome package for our clients, which includes a little bit about us, some video time lapses of projects that we've completed, so they can actually click in on the PDF to view the video for each of those projects, as well as how we install interlock, how we install retaining walls, and so on there, and each of those steps involved with it, as well as videos that they can click in on and view there. So that has been actually really beneficial this year. And once somebody actually sends us a request for a consult, we send them that welcome package and just say, hey, this would be worth going through and just seeing how we do things maybe a little bit differently, especially if you're getting quotes from others. And that has been really good for us to start with these consults this season. So I just did that, and that's been a really good start. So I do recommend creating a welcome package, especially if you do have YouTube videos, and link those YouTube videos within that welcome package, so the client can see your face, see the work that you do, see the detail that you put into the work, and automatically right away they get to know you a little bit. And as soon as you're coming out to that job site, they're saying that those videos are great. We really appreciate it. You've already got that know, like, and trust factor with that. So clients are going to buy from those people that they know, like, and trust. And that's why in the past, what I've done is just sent a text within an email of these are the steps that we do, but I wanted to create it more visual and have them actually click on something to be able to see a little bit more about us and those videos as well here. Coming to Eden Outdoors AU, what are some red flags that you look when going through a quote with a customer? So right away, when somebody does reach out to us and they're asking for what's your square footage price, Do you offer free consultations? Those are immediate red flags that once they do that, if that's the first thing that they say to us, we immediately go into pre-qualifying that client really heavily. This year, I wanted to meet as many people as possible, especially at the start of the season before we're actually working. So I was little bit more lenient with my pre-qualifying to start the season at least. A little bit later, we'll get more and more aggressive with that pre-qualification, but especially with those red flags that you hear, we go pretty heavy into that pre-qualification. With every client, we get them to send us photos of their space, get some ideas from them initially before we go out and do that consultation, and give them and ask them for a budget. I've been a little bit better about asking for a budget this season and give them a little bit of a realistic idea of what that budget's going to get them. And if they don't have a budget, giving them a price range of what they have been asking for and what that it would typically cost. But before I send that price point over, I do send that welcome package so they get to know a little bit more about what goes into that install. And especially if they're looking at other contractors, this is sets us apart from those other contractors, especially in a more difficult year that it could be for us here. So that is, I hope that answered your question there about red flags, especially just before you go out to that consult. Yeah, and so that YouTube channel was a main focus for the past few years for me. It'll continue to be a focus for me, going a little bit different of a direction this year. In the past, what we've done is more so tutorial based. Going forward from this year, it's going to be more day in the life based, going to more of a entertainment storytelling video format rather than educational. So we're doing a little bit of a detour this year with that actual YouTube channel, and hopefully everyone will like it if you do listen, if you do follow along with I Am a Hardscaper on YouTube. For everyone just joining here, if you want to join in, this is our How to Hardscape podcast 300th episode. So that's the evolution of How to Hardscape, starting from the website, going to the actual Instagram page that we started for the community, and then getting into the podcast all in 2019. Now in 2020, we released the budget and estimate spreadsheet. That is something that I developed for my business and then made it a little bit more user friendly for others to join in and use. That was great for a couple of years. We had hundreds of contractors, not just in the hardscape space, actually purchase it. And we got a lot of great feedback with that. The next year after 2020, 2021, I developed it a little bit further to make proposals and purchase orders and stuff like that, depending on the materials that you added into the spreadsheet for each client. But we got to a point where the next thing that we would have added to it would have been like time tracking, scheduling, which is just not as user friendly and easy to do with an Excel file. So we decided to pivot the spreadsheet into a software. So that's where the How to Hardscape headquarters software was born. We went into development for that, I think in 2023, and in 2024 we released the what you would call a minimum viable product for that, which was a budgeting and estimating, time tracking, scheduling in that. And we had some users sign up almost immediately with that. We do have locked in pricing. So we continue to release features with it and continue still to this day to release features into it. But those that signed up were locked in on their prices based on that price point that they signed up at, to help us in our growth essentially with that. So that is the How to Hardscape headquarters software. Today with the How to Hardscape headquarters software, we have budgeting, estimating, job costing, time tracking, scheduling, SMS messaging, employee management. They can request time off. They can submit reports. We have courses. We have our interlocking concrete pavement course, our segmental retaining wall course, and gas fire features, lighting. And we have some business courses as well, including estimating, knowing your numbers, and budgeting. And the knowing your numbers course actually has Cycle CPA join in for 1 hour sessions on your balance sheet, walking you through your balance sheet and walking you through your balance sheet and income statement. So those are really great resources. But within the headquarters software, you can assign those courses, especially those install courses, to your employees. So think of that as training, think of that as onboarding. Once you hire somebody, have them go through the courses, have them complete the courses. There's tests at the end of the courses so they can actually get a certificate of completion. And now with that, we're releasing a point system within the software. So there's different triggers within the software that you can assign points to, and you can use this for monthly benefits, quarterly benefits, yearly benefits. So if an employee completes a course or clocks in on time each day or remembers to clock out at the end of the day, they get a certain number of points, and it's just a great way, and a leaderboard as well, to see and gamify that sort of system so your employees can see where they are. And like I said, you can create some sort of reward system around that as well within your own business. So that's where we're going very shortly here. Another thing that we're releasing is a very much improved scheduler and invoicing. What else is in there? A CRM, vendor management, lots of different features that have been developed along the way. And we're going to continue to develop that as we continue with this. So that's really exciting. And what has come with the How to Hardscape. What I've always said and what I've always tried to do is just bring as much value for free as possible with How to Hardscape. That's the podcast, the YouTube videos with I Am a Hardscaper, the articles on how to hardscape. And then we've got one paid thing, which is the software. So if you did want to support or jump in a software in any way, that would be the How to Hardscape headquarters software at hthheadquarters.com. And along the way, we continue to put out articles on How to Hardscape. We also have a job board, so you can post your own jobs for free, vacancies, and do it that way. We also have a directory where you can post your Hardscape business. Now that's only available for headquarters members, where you can post your own business there, get a link back to your website as well, which is good for SEO. And yeah, I would say that we do have a free course as well on howtohardscape.com for pricing projects, how to price them profitably. I've always been a proponent of labor rate recovery system for overhead. That means that you have a total number of hours for the season, and however many hours a project is going to take away from those hours as a percentage of your overhead is going to be applied to that project. And that is how the headquarters system works. And that is how we teach in that pricing landscaping projects course as well there. Wicked Hardscape says, how do you go about upselling low voltage lighting? I feel it's a hard sell, so I implemented installing some lights so they could see, but that takes time. Wasn't sure if that's common practice. Absolutely common practice, I would say. If it's not sold to them, or they were hesitant, or they didn't want it, I always have lights that I install on that project, and for them to see it at night before we actually do wrap that project up. So I typically run wire before I install everything. For smaller projects, it's not really the case. Like if it's just a patio, we don't do any paver lights. So in paver lighting, that's just a personal preference for me. But we do a lot of hardscape lighting under seat walls, under retaining walls. And we sell that, showing them projects in the past. It's in our portfolio. It's in our welcome package there as well. Projects that have that undercap lighting, that usually sells it to them. If they're hesitant, if they don't do it, we will do what you mentioned there, is just run that wire anyways. It's going to be there. It's hidden, and they can see it at night and tell me yes or no. I highly recommend it to them, especially on steps. It's a safety feature. It's a aesthetic appeal feature. So I highly recommend hardscape lighting, landscape lighting, wherever you can, and just using past projects to sell that to them. Or if they don't bite, setting it up for them in person anyways is a great way to do that. This is the 300th episode of the How to Hardscape podcast, everyone. If you did want to join on our stories at How to Hardscape here, we do have a Zoom link. You're welcome to join in with me on Zoom here if you want to be on the podcast. Wicked Hardscape says, "Welcome packet. I like you talked about it. It is a good idea with videos." Yes, it was. It's already been a really good tool for me in this consult season, and I send that to them right away. As soon as they reach out to us, I answer their questions, I ask for photos, and I ask any ideas that they have, and then I immediately send that welcome package and say, "Hey, I highly recommend going through this welcome package to see a little bit more about us, how we do things, what the process is like. We have step-by-step process of what we do in terms of, initial consultation, initial proposal, meeting at a supplier, bringing out samples, just everything that they would want to know. We have time lapses to our projects within it, and also step by step how we install our projects. And each of those steps in that project, completion, so like excavation, base prep, screeding, laying, edge restoring, jointing compound, we have videos to every single one of those steps. So it's already been a great selling tool, and I've already got some really good feedback from potential clients with that. It's all about setting up that know, like, and trust factor, that they already see me, they already see what I'm doing, before I even go out and meet them. So they already have some sort of familiarity, and it helps that the YouTube videos that I do send them, they've got some credibility there in terms of views, in terms of seeing people commenting and liking and so on and so forth there. So that has been huge for me already this consult season. And I just created it this year. In the past, I just did it in an email text. It's not as visually appealing. It's not as professional. This at least sums it all up, makes it nice and professional for them. Beachside landscaping. Hi, our lips are travertine normal. If not, what's the best solution? I don't know. Are you talking about the lippage from one piece to the other? I would make that as minimal as possible. With porcelain, we've done now a couple of porcelain installs this past season, and I'm going to be doing more porcelain installs this season. And I love the product. It's just a pain to install, and that definitely comes down to focusing on that lippage factor there and making sure it is unnoticeable. So I'm sure travertine is very similar with that. We use Trass as our bedding layer for our porcelain installs around the outside, and I really like the product. We'll see going forward with it. It is something that I would consider doing around the entire project. So not just the outside borders, but the entire project. Right now, what we did was Type S mortar back butter the interior pieces and put that into HPB. And it is noticeable slightly how walking over the Trass area is different than walking over the actual interior dry laid area with that back butter of the Type S. So I'm considering with future porcelain installs to just do Trass everywhere. It does increase the price quite a bit, but I do like the end result with that. But that is it in a nutshell for How to Hardscape, how we developed, where we've come from, and where we will continue to go. We've got a lot of exciting things in the works, not just the How to Hardscape headquarters software, but other things as well. But our main focus for product is going to be that How to Hardscape headquarters software. It's going to be everything that we do online is meant to be helpful in any way, is free as much as possible. But the headquarters software is our one paid thing. So if you ever did want to support, that's there for you, especially a software that you want to dive into with that. We've also have had many great sponsors sponsor the podcast. I want to give a big shout out here to Cycle CPA. They have been a continuous sponsor for us. And if you are in need of bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services in your business, I highly recommend Cycle CPA. We want to take a break from today's episode to thank our sponsor, Cycle CPA. It's crucial to review your financial statements on a monthly basis so you can diagnose areas for improving your business's financial health early before they become significant issues. Too many contractors wait until the end of the year to review their financials as they file taxes, when it's often too late to take action to change the outcome. Cycle CPA not only handles bookkeeping and taxes, but they also ensure that you're armed with financial data on a monthly basis to make key business decisions. They offer benchmarking, cash flow forecasting, and assistance in developing targets for financial metrics. With their team of accountants specialized in the hardscape and landscape industry, they currently work with hundreds of companies in this field. Visit cyclecpa.com, and for $200 off, mention the How to Hardscape podcast. Now back to our episode. They have helped us create content, like I mentioned before, in those courses, walking through a balance sheet, walking through a P&L, 1 hour course modules, lessons within our software for that. And they have been a long time supporter of the How to Hardscape podcast and have sponsored for many years now. So big thank you to Cycle CPA. Luxury Landscaping _GTA. Hello. Good to see you. Eden Outdoors AU. Have you used the Quickie wall screed system? I have not, and I personally wouldn't. It's not something that's on my radar to purchase. We have screed bars that are cut to 3-foot lengths, so I don't see the need to have a chain attached to them. I'm not worried about them being lost or anything like that. We just have those 3-foot length pieces that we use to screed our wall setting beds. And I just can't justify the price point with that. If it was a little bit less expensive, maybe, but I can't. Pave Tool makes a lot of great products. Don't get me wrong. Some of them are more valuable than others, I'll say. And the Quickie wall screed system is not one of them that's on my radar to purchase anytime soon. But thank you there for the question, Eden Outdoors. I assume you're in Australia with the AU. Are you, do you have access to Pave Tool out there? Pave Tool products and all that. And that would be very interesting. So I think we covered the evolution of all that and the How to Hardscape podcast and where we've come from and where we're going. Any other questions that came in here? I did get one question mark from Dylan Martins 9. I may have missed your question, so you could put it back in there. But other than that, how is everybody else's season starting? How are your consultations going? How are your seasons continuing here? And what have you done for your business to help that client experience? Like I mentioned, that welcome package has really helped me so far this year and has been a big tool for me. And I highly recommend that you create one yourself there. Tim Reed, 2023. How do you think U.S. tariffs will affect hardscape? I will be interested to see what happens there. A lot of our paver manufacturers the major ones are in Canada, though they would import materials. So I'm very interested in how it will affect. I know some people are putting things into their contract now for price increases. If there are any price increases, sort of like there were during that busy time back in 2020 to 2022, 2023, when there were unexpected price increases, especially with that lumber cost, it would be beneficial to put something in your contract to address any significant price increases so that and mentioning to that client that you understand or they understand, hey, if the price of X increases, we need to pass that price increase along to you. So I will be interested to continue to see how this whole thing develops here. I honestly don't think it's going to last too long, and hopefully that resolves itself sooner rather than later. Muskoka Landscapers, Kevin there, consults are going great, almost 80% full. Still waiting to get started though. Still got snow on the ground there, Kevin. We still have some very small snow mounds here and there, but we're just waiting for that ground to dry up so we're not destroying people's yards or anything like that. But we will start with some lift and relay work. That's always great work to get the season started, get myself back into shape after that winter. But also we don't have to do any excavation And that's a main positive for starting with that lift and relay. And I do like to end with the lift and relay as well. So if snow starts to fall, that doesn't also disrupt us as well there. Kevin Muskoka Landscaper says, we are doing same estimated, good for 7 days and deposit in. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so How to Hardscape podcast, 300th episode. I mentioned our Cycle CPA sponsor, longtime sponsor. We've had Mosier on as a sponsor for the past little bit. Big thank you to Mosier. If you're looking for a Mosier 2 Pro on their website, if you do buy the Mosier 2 Pro, you can get some money off if you use X, the number 8 Hardscape, X8 Hardscape at checkout. And that also does help us to show that the sponsor's working there. And I've been using my Mosier with consults. There is a little bit of a learning curve, but they've got great resources to be able to minimize that learning curve as much as possible. And I was able to upload it into my design software with the contours and the grades and everything, which is amazing. I can't believe how seamless it works with that. Really do love it. And I'm looking forward to using it more and more with those consults. We want to take a break from today's episode to thank our sponsor, Mosier. I'm going to be using the Mosier 2 Pro on all my consultations moving forward here. In the past, what I've done is brought a tape measure, measuring wheel, rotary laser level, along with a notepad to write down all my elevations and measurements. In addition to bringing product catalogs and samples, it's a lot to bring on every consultation. It would take me way too long to take measurements and elevations while writing them down on an inaccurate, not to scale drawing on my notepad, and then try to translate those from my sketch to my design software and hope I write those measurements down correctly and in the right place. When I found out about Mosier, I knew it would replace all of those tools for my consultations. I recently got my hands on a Mosier 2 Pro, which captures measurements, draws, calculates areas, perimeters, volume, elevations, and lays out the entire project on your device. And then you can export it into your design software, and having a working terrain map to begin my designs while also being more accurate in my quoting process. If you want to get your hands on a Mosier 2 Pro, use the promo code X8 Hardscape. That's X, the number 8 Hardscape at Mosier.com, or simply click the link in the show notes. Now back to our episode. But Mosier has been sponsoring a little bit. We've have Knowledge Tree Consulting, George and Peter of Oriole Landscaping, their consultation services sponsoring, and big thank you to them. I did a one-on-one with George. It was incredible. And I got nothing but good things to say about their services that they offer there. And thanks to them for continuing to sponsor. We want to take a break from today's episode to thank our sponsor, Knowledge Tree Consulting. They are efficiency consultants in the industry with 35 plus years of industry experience building Oriole landscaping in Toronto, which they are completely hands off at this point. George and Peter have been on the podcast before, and George on multiple occasions now. I've personally leaned on him to help with the How to Hardscape headquarters software and how we can maximize the efficiency of user experience. And I know the guys at DTE Landscaping, Chuck and Jeffrey, who we've also had on the show multiple times, have hired them on in the past. Check out their consulting services, peer groups, and events that are coming up on their website, knowledgetreeconsulting.com, or check them out on Instagram at joinktc. Now back to our episode. As well as in the past, we've had, just to list our sponsors, IQ Power Tools, Alliance, Belgard for a little bit there, and I'm sure I'm missing a couple. Inlight has sponsored in the past, so big thank you to our sponsors that help us with the How to Hardscape podcast. 300 episodes is a lot of episodes to put out there. That's more than, I would say, at least 200 hours worth of content. And it's not just the actual recording, because I don't do many episodes where I sit down by myself and go through the recording. It's a lot of interviews and arranging those interviews. I try to do as many as I can in the winter, but to get the backlog going. But then during the season, I also have to do interviews. So I also take time out of my evenings when I'm doing estimates, or even sometimes in my truck during the season, I'll bring my laptop and do a truck interview during the actual hardscaping season. So it takes a lot to keep this going. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of my resources. So those sponsors really do help out a lot with this and to keep this podcast kind of continuing along. So thank you to our sponsors. And a big thank you to everybody that listens to the How to Hardscape podcast. It really is amazing how many people continue to listen that actually take a subscribe or follow on Apple, Spotify, leave ratings, leave reviews. It is awesome that you guys do that. And to continue to get engagement, messages through How to Hardscape. I am a hardscaper. I'm getting more messages than I can keep up with, especially people asking about budgeting, asking about overhead recovery, marketing, lots of that. I would say the two main things that I talk about, if you ever hear me on this podcast for a standalone episode, it's just marketing and financials. For the most part, that is what I like to talk about, and that is what I kind of stick to with this podcast. So it seems to be what people reach out to me the most for and ask questions, and I try to keep up with those as much as possible. So thank you so much to everyone that does that. Wicked Hardscape says, speaking of the Moser, it seems the Pro will do a layout, and that's the only difference. I've been super interested from hearing on your podcast. Yeah, I don't actually know the difference between the Pro and the 2 Pro, but the 2 Pro has been really great so far for me. Like I said, a little bit of a learning curve, but Moser's got excellent videos on that. I tried my first one without watching the videos, and it didn't go so well. So I went back to the videos and realized I was doing it all wrong. And so they got great videos on how to actually do it and how to get accurate measurements and results from it. So I've used it, I would say, on 5 consoles so far this year. A lot of our lift and relay work, we don't necessarily need it. It's more so for our design build stuff. And I have been working on a couple of designs using it. I use Real-Time Landscape Architect, and it allows you to import those Moser files right into the software. I will say the biggest thing that I really like about Moser is that they auto-save your measurements. So for somebody like me who's a little bit unorganized and may forget to, once you've finished doing a measurement and clicking save on that file, I tend to just close out a Moser, put my Moser away, go to the next consult, start that next consult, and realize I didn't save anything. But Moser auto saves for you. So that's huge for me personally. And so you can go back into that auto save, then save it as a new file, name it, and I name it as an address or a client name, and then I start my next measurement there. So that has been a huge thing that they have there, is that autosave, beyond all the different features that they have with that layout, with those measurements, and being able to import them into your design software, which is awesome. I think I've covered everything. This year, we did do a little bit of paid ads to get some consults in the door for us. With our my landscaping website, with all this How to Hardscape stuff, I still do stuff for my landscaping business. The website has been the main one and focusing on SEO. And one of the big keywords that we get are actual drainage. So drainage yards. And so we rank really well for drainage. So I always get a bunch of drainage leads. So we'll be doing a little bit of drainage work. Typically with drainage work does come maybe like a retaining wall or fixing interlock. So those kind of go hand in hand, which is great. So I do recommend, if you are looking at updating your website at all, including every single service that you do. So not just interlock and not just retaining walls, but doing things like interlock patios, interlock walkways, interlock driveways, drainage, because you do drainage with those projects, might as well do a drainage page. If you're willing to do drainage work, doing things like lighting and outdoor living spaces. So there's all these different services wrapped into if you just do interlock or retaining wall work. So make sure you have pages for each of those. That has been really big for me. Another thing that has been really big for me has been using my YouTube videos and transcribing those, and then creating blog posts for each of those YouTube videos on my landscaping website. So for my actual landscaping business, I have blog posts on specific projects that we've done. So these could be time lapses that I turn into a blog post. And in the title, I include the city and the service that we're doing so that I'm covering, say, a X city interlock patio install. And I can do that for many different cities with that same sort of keyword setup. So I'm starting to rank for different cities and different services that we are specifically offering in those cities. The typical traditional way would be to create city or service area pages and then creating services. And Google will know that you service this city and you've got this service, but you have a direct way of doing it with these blog posts, as well as showing off your portfolio a little bit and those time lapses in doing it this way. So I really do think that that is a great way to go about it. Eden Outdoors AU, will you be at the H&A this year? I hope to be at H&A this year. Yes, I went the past couple of years. It was awesome. And we will look at maybe even getting a booth. That would be the goal. Wicked Hardscapes. Do you do all that, or do you have a company that helps with that, or using AI? I do it all myself. So going back to before I started my landscaping business, I did have some websites and created websites to be search engine optimized. So I took that knowledge and I just applied it to my landscaping business as well as how to hardscape. So if you search a lot of how to hardscape terms like open graded base and installing the more difficult terms, maybe not like how to install interlock or whatever, but the more in-depth terms like open graded base and so on and so forth, how to hardscape will rank really high, typically within the first 1 to 5 results. But also in addition to that, the I'm a Hardscaper YouTube channel will rank really high as well with it. So I just apply that to my landscaping business as well. Same strategies, same tactics, just with an actual local business strategy with including those service areas in it. I don't need a company to do it just because I have that background, as well as I do it in the winter. So winter's my time to double down on that sort of stuff. I don't do snow clearing or anything like that. Big focus is how to hardscape. Big focus is my landscaping business online, and I'm a hardscaper basically. So that's my time to shine during the winter. AI, I'll have AI. I'll take my transcript of my YouTube video, or if there's no voiceover on the YouTube video, if it is a just like music with a time lapse, I'll do my own voiceover. So I have a website that I can just talk into speech to text. So I'll just talk about that project, and that is usually around 1,000 words. I typically try to get at least 1,000 words, and then I'll copy that. I'll put it into ChatGPT. I'll ask ChatGPT to make it a little bit better using a certain prompt. It spits it out for me. I copy, paste it into my website, embed that YouTube video into it, and that's my article. That's my blog post for that. Like I said, the title would be City that I did the project in, followed by the service that we did. So that it doesn't take a lot of time, to be honest. It takes about 15 minutes per blog post because I already have the video, I already have the transcript, or if I do need to do speech to text, I know exactly what to talk about. And it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to get that all done and into a blog post and have it published. So it really does not take a lot of time. The main thing that takes a lot of time is the actual video itself. But I already do that with I'm a Hardscaper. I'm a Hardscaper supports my landscaping business because I do get leads from that and people reaching out to me for work. Typically, that doesn't come until about May. So it does lag a little bit in terms of the season start. So I do need to do I do need to rely on my SEO on my landscaping business. I do a little bit of paid ads to get my season going. And then typically May, June get a lot of YouTube leads come in for the rest of my season. Big benefit to that, besides what I've already talked about with how long YouTube videos last as opposed to short form content like Instagram, is where was I going with that? Big benefit to that is the longevity of how long it lasts, as well as ads that you get. So you do get money from YouTube as well. So that is the main reason why I doubled down on YouTube as opposed to Instagram. The longevity of that content, how long it lasts, its lifespan. It's search engine based with YouTube. I get leads from it, and I also get paid from it as well. So it's a win-win-win-win in every sort of way with that. And I repurpose those YouTube videos, like I said, for my landscaping website. I repurpose them for our welcome package to clients so that they can see my face, see everything that I do for them. So the whole goal is to do something once and then repurpose it as much as you possibly can in any single way that you can think of. So that is my strategy. That's why I went with YouTube. I can just embed YouTube videos. I can't do that with Instagram. I can make money from YouTube videos. I can't do that with Instagram. I know some people in the States can. We can't. Maybe we can nowadays. I don't know for sure. But the longevity, all that I talked about is why we went that direction. I hope that answers your question. Wicked Hardscapes, very nice. That's a lot of work. The YouTube videos are a lot of work for sure. Everything else repurposed, rinse and repeat, just making the best of what effort you put into those YouTube videos to repurpose them. And it's all a long-term strategy, right? I am very, if I choose to do something, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to continue to do that. So I remain consistent. I do it until I don't see results from it. I gave myself 100 videos on YouTube. If I made 100 videos and I wasn't getting traction, I was either going to maybe switch to Instagram, or I was going to change my strategy on YouTube. Good thing about YouTube is we had the How to Hardscape articles. So I already had video topics, and I could embed those YouTube videos into the How to Hardscape articles. So we're already getting views right away with it. I knew that the YouTube video would eventually do well. So I just doubled down on it as much as possible, put as much effort into it. And like I said, it's a long-term strategy. It wasn't meant to start getting leads right away. It was 2.5 years before we started to get any leads, about a year and a half before we started to actually be monetized for it. So it is a long-term strategy, but it's also going to be there forever. And I'm going to be able to use it in my business forever. So yeah. I also have met and talked to people that use my YouTube videos to train and onboard their employees. So with all of the different topics that we have, and having a video for every single step of the process, people just use the YouTube videos to do training exercises with their employees and to onboard their employees. So it's great for everyone in that sense. If you need some resources for marketing, and we do have a marketing masterclass episode that was on December 2nd, 2024. You can go back into that. I lay out my entire marketing strategy, everything that I kind of just talked about here, plus some, being able to create a client avatar who you're trying to market to, where to find them, how to create content for them, how to create paid ads for them, yeah. So if that's something that you need right away, that would be the episode to listen to. We also have a SEO podcast episode. So if you want to learn more about my SEO strategy, things that I talked about right here, go to that episode. It's around the same time, sometime in December 2024. And you can listen to that as well to hear me talk more and more about SEO. And I think that's a big play for businesses, especially when you can get leads that don't cost you anything and you don't have to pay to get leads. That's a huge benefit, but I still think that everybody should have a YouTube channel for their business. I look at it back, I've heard people say, I think it's too late for YouTube. It's not. You can create videos. Nobody's got videos of you explaining the process or how your business does things or your own personality on YouTube. So that's never been done before. So use that to your advantage. I think back when websites started being a thing for businesses, the early adopters got a big head start in creating their websites and getting traction to their websites. The same thing is true to YouTube today. And more of the clients that we're going to get are in tune to the digital space, and we'll try to find contractors from the digital space. So the amount of contractors that have websites are much higher than the amount of contractors that have YouTube channels. And that gap is your opportunity. So I highly recommend start a YouTube channel for your business. It's a long-term strategy, and those are the strategies that pay off dividends in the future, especially when things might get a little bit difficult, because there's always going to be a time. It's not if, it's when there will be a difficult time for you to get work lined up. And as many strategies that you can put into practice today will benefit you during those times. So I'm a big proponent of start a YouTube channel and get that content going out there for the future. Anyways, everyone, this is the How to Hardscape podcast, episode number 300. I do really appreciate everybody that listens to the How to Hardscape podcast. We started back in October 2019, and we're going strong to this day. I do appreciate anybody and everybody that listens, comments, likes, shares, subscribes, follows, whatever you do, especially those that have shared this podcast in their stories. That's been huge for us, and I thank you for doing that. Instagram has been the biggest way that we've got people to listen to the podcast. So thank you so much. And for the support, for the communication, the messages, people reaching out, asking about topics that they want to hear on the podcast. We get messages, we get emails, we get all of that with that. We get guest suggestions, which has been amazing. And I just can't say thank you enough to anyone and everyone that has reached out, that has engaged in any way and continues to. So thank you so much. Wicked Hardscapes, what do you recommend for a camera to get started? A GoPro. I've heard good things about the DJI GoPro, not GoPro, but action camera. I think that would be the next camera that I get, just based on the feedback that I've heard. GoPro, there's some goods and bads to it. But sometimes, like the issue that I'm having right now with my GoPro is sometimes it connects to my computer, sometimes it doesn't. I've heard that just researching online that people feel the same thing or experience the same thing. And the DJI version of the action camera, I've heard good things about. So whether you go GoPro or DJI, everybody has a camera starting out with their iPhone, and iPhone's got great cameras. Audio, not so much, but good cameras, and it's a good way to get started. I set up my iPhone for time lapses. I have a DJI gimbal for phones, and I've got my old iPhone still that I just set up into that gimbal, and I set it up on the job site, and I capture a time lapse. The good thing about that gimbal is you can set waypoints in your time lapse. So you can start it moving from the right side, and over a time period, slowly move to the left or up and down, or different waypoints throughout. So it gives a little bit of not just like a camera sitting on site in one position. It gives movement through the camera based on what you're doing, as well as movement of the camera. So I really like that for my YouTube videos. And I typically have my GoPro for filming purposes, whether this year it's going to be on my head to film things that I'm doing, but I have it on a tripod that I just film myself with. Good audio, good visual. So that would be the way that I would get started with that. But Wicked Hardscapes, thank you so much for the questions that came in there. Thank you to everybody and anybody that's joined in. How to Hardscape 300th episode in the bank. Thank you everybody so much. Thank you for listening to episode 300 of the How to Hardscape podcast. Once again, thank you so much to everyone tuning in each and every week. 300 episodes, and we got many more to come, so thank you so much. We look forward to putting out a lot of more great content in the future here. And a big thank you to our sponsors, Cycle CPA. If you're looking for bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services, reach out to Cycle CPA at cyclecpa.com. Let them know How to Hardscape sent you for money off their services there. And we want to thank Moser. I'm sure you know precision is key in estimating and design, and the Moser 2 Pro is making that easier than ever. This advanced measuring device captures dimensions, elevations, and calculates areas instantly, exporting the data directly into my design software for accurate project mapping. This eliminates manual notes and improves accuracy, saving time and enhancing workflow. If you're looking to upgrade your measuring process, visit Moser.com and use promo code X8Hardscape. That's X, the number 8 Hardscape, or check the link in the show notes. And Knowledge Tree Consulting. George and Peter there are efficiency consultants in our industry, and I've had the privilege of having them both on one episode of the How to Hardscape podcast, and George multiple other times. Always great episodes, and I also got to sit down on a one-on-one with George and went through what they do for businesses, and I left that meeting with a lot of value, so I can't recommend them enough. If you want to learn more about what they do, go to knowledgetreeconsulting.com and get that conversation started with them today. And we look forward to meeting you next week on the How to Hardscape podcast.